My wife has been treating our son unfairly and showing favoritism towards our daughter. My name is Sahu, a 38-year-old man, and I'm at a crossroads in my marriage with my wife, who is 40. Lately, I've noticed a disturbing pattern in her behavior towards our son, who is 12. It all began with a seemingly innocent compliment I gave him on his cooking. Since then, she has been favoring our 9-year-old daughter, which has created a rift in our family. My wife has always been the one to cook in our home. As an Italian, her culinary skills were one of the reasons I fell in love with her. Despite my offers to help in the kitchen, she's always declined, and I can't blame her. Cooking is not one of my strong suits. I've always made sure to express my gratitude for every meal, and I've taught our children to do the same. About a year ago, our son developed an interest in cooking. He started watching cooking videos on YouTube and TikTok, eager to try his hand at it. My wife was delighted to teach him, and they bonded over their shared culinary adventures, going to the store together and experimenting with new recipes. A month ago, our son asked if he could cook a meal for us on his own. I thought it was a great idea, but my wife hesitated before agreeing. That Saturday, she took him shopping for ingredients, and he got to work in the kitchen. She supervised initially, but he insisted he could manage alone. She joined me and our daughter in the living room, looking a bit dejected. I reassured her that he still valued cooking with her and just wanted to try it independently. When we sat down to eat, I was genuinely impressed by how well he did. I complimented him extensively, pointing out a few minor mistakes gently, more than I usually would with my wife's cooking. In hindsight, I realized this might have sparked the issue. Our daughter, being a typical little sister, wasn't as supportive and made a rude comment about his cooking. I was about to reprimand her when my wife pushed her plate away and agreed, saying it was too salty and overcooked. My son's mood plummeted, and I didn't address it then to avoid arguing in front of the kids. I continued praising his effort, while my wife and daughter barely touched their plates. Later, I found my son in his room, visibly upset. I comforted him, saying his mom probably had a bad day and not to take it personally. That night, after the kids were asleep, I confronted my wife. She tried to brush it off, but I pressed the issue. She snapped, accusing me of complimenting our son more than her. I was taken aback and involuntarily scoffed, which escalated the argument. Eventually, she admitted she was too harsh and agreed to apologize to him. I thought things were settled. The following Monday, on the way to school, my son seemed off. He eventually confided that his mom told him she would be cooking alone from now on. I was furious, but kept my cool, promising to talk to her. I left work early to discuss it with her. Our conversation turned into a shouting match, where I accused her of being childish and vindictive. She retorted that cooking wasn't a man's job, which left me stunned. That night, my wife took our daughter out and returned with toys and clothes for her, clearly trying to spite our son. I told her I wouldn't allow her to use our family money to punish our son. We argued again, and I ended up sleeping in the guest room. For the past month, she has been showering our daughter with attention and gifts while ignoring our son. I've talked to my parents and brother about this. They agree she's wrong, but don't see it as a major issue, thinking it will resolve itself. I, however, am starting to fall out of love with her because of how she treats our son. Despite this, I don't want to rush into divorce if there's a way to fix this. I feel guilty and responsible for the situation. I've been trying to do nice things for my son without mirroring my wife's behavior. I often take our daughter with us when we go out, but she's been rude, constantly boasting about what her mother does for her to upset her brother. Seeing my wife's treatment of our son has made me question our marriage. I don't want to jump to divorce, but I also can't ignore this. Any advice on how to address this issue, especially bringing up the topic of therapy, would be greatly appreciated.